Hey everyone, welcome to the Hornet King channel. Thank you so much for tuning in to check out this video. In this video, I expose and remove a massive yellow jacket colony that had made its nest above the soffit in a client's house. This nest was absolutely humongous and had thousands of adults inside, which I show some awesome shots in. This nest had multiple layers of comb, which when I got it back to my house, I dissected it and fed it to my animals. 5 chickens, 1 turkey, and 2 squirrels. Plus a squirrel jump scare somewhere in this video. I also have awesome updates on the European Hornet colony and the bald-faced Hornet colonies that I relocated back to my barn in previous videos. So here's the video, guys. Check it out. So this is a western yellow jacket colony that had made its nest above the soffit at this client's house. And the numbers that were coming in and out from foraging was absolutely humongous. They were not only coming in from that corner, but they were also coming in from above the front door, which is about 4.5 to 5 feet away from the original entrance. So they were walking across from the inside above the soffit, walking along the wall, and then coming down through these other holes. So the numbers were obviously huge, and I could tell coming in there, like, there were probably about 20 individuals flying in and out at a time every, 5 seconds. There was a lot of activity. Okay, let me snap a picture of it here. You got the wildlife right here at your front door. It's about the size of a basketball. A nest this size had almost 2,000 adults in it. I mean, it could have been 2,000 as well, but it was just absolutely humongous. Well over 1,500, I would say. I started vacuuming up thinking, oh, okay, I'll just get as many out of there as I possibly can. And it was just like, it didn't matter how much I vacuumed. Like, it was almost like they were multiplying instantly. Like, they would just start coming right back out again. So I figured that ones that were foraging would also be coming back, and I could get them vacuumed up at the same time. But like 20 to 30 individuals were just walking along that wall like every 10 seconds. So it was almost like they were replacing the ones I was vacuuming up instantly. So you can see these layers of comb. I mean, you can just see how many larvae in there, how many silk caps there are, that this nest was going to be like almost double the size as far as adult count is concerned by the time the season was over. Look at that, I bumped the nest and they just started coming out like in a fury. They didn't seem like they're quite as aggressive as like eastern or southern yellow jackets, but they were definitely, as far as like numbers are concerned, they had the numbers on those two species to be able to come out. And even if they're not super aggressive, having an abundance like that swarming you, that's that much more potential of getting stung even through the suit. So you'll notice here that I've been using my phone for these inner cavity removals, and it's just much easier and much better to be able to go in, hold a flashlight with the same hand, and get as close as I can to the nest. So you guys can get a front row seat of these removals and see everything that I'm seeing, if not even better, that I'm able to see it. Camera does get a little bit shaky just because I am trying to remove a nest of thousands of stinging adults at the same time and trying to get some great shots. So sometimes I'm not always looking at the screen to see how good of a shot I'm getting. And actually, for the most part, by the time I get home is when I actually get to look at the content that I got, and I'm usually pretty pleased with what I got. So in between the layers of comb, there's usually about 50 to 100 to 150 adults between each layer. So even though I've been vacuuming and vacuuming and vacuuming, you'll see at the end of this, when I actually start prying it apart, you'll see the amount of adults that are still in between those layers, even though I just spent 40 minutes vacuuming them up. People oftentimes ask in my videos how come when I'm letting them swarm, how come I'm letting them quote-unquote escape. None of them are escaping. They're literally swarming. They're swarming me, and then they try to go right back to the cavity. They're not. They have no intention to go and start a new colony because this is their colony. Look at all the adults in there. Like, that is just mind-blowing. Again, I've been vacuuming for about 35 to 40 minutes, and this is the amount that are still in this colony. And this is ones that are coming back from foraging too, so they're kind of just hanging tight up in the up in that cavity because that's where home was, regardless of whether or not there's actually comb in there. Look at my hand, completely covered in adults. They sting the glove, and then their stingers get stuck in the leather of my glove, and then they can't break free. So I have to vacuum them off, or unfortunately, I have to smush them sometimes. It's pretty barbaric. Just listen to the sound as I vacuum this up. Sounds like I'm sucking up pennies. So even though I've been vacuuming a lot for this particular removal, I will have to vacuum in between the layers once I get this home to feed this to my girls. So even though there's a lot that already gotten vacuumed up, there's going to be probably at least another 500 that are going to be in between the 6 or 7 layers of comb once I get that home to vacuum up as well. I did have to end up spraying up into this cavity because there were just so many, and they were in like every little nook and cranny, like walking over to where the nest was, underneath of this tar paper and behind the brick and on top of the soffit. So I sprayed it with the jet wasp spray from Black Flag, and then up in the corrugated parts of the J channel where the soffit and the J channel meet, I tucked in some scorpion and spider spray. And mainly just because that foams up really good and will deter them from being able to go in there. For any of you who've ever done soffit, the hardest thing is aluminum soffit with gloves on. My fingers kept getting stuck in between the seams, which was really annoying. Almost like I was never there. So this is the spider and scorpion spray. It gets like a really thick foam, and it stays on the surface as a foam for a really long time. So I spray that up into the corrugation of the soffit and up along the edge of the J channel. And that way it'll deter any wasps flying in, and any ones that do fly in will get that spray on them, and then that'll kill them pretty quick. Usually don't like using a lot of sprays, but in this case I'm not spraying the comb or anything, so that way it's safe to give to my girls. And look at all that fury. Again, I had already been vacuuming this forever, and once I got it home, and they were just coming out from between, I would say, coming out of the woodwork. So it's not totally far-fetched to say that, considering this is made from cellulose from wood. But breaking it apart, these different layers, you're going to see just how many adults are still inside and in between the layers of comb. But I'm doing this part of it where I'm breaking apart the comb and I'm vacuuming up the adult. Any ones that are flying out from here, they're not going anywhere. They're literally staying right around me. I know I don't have a second camera angle to show you that they're just swarming around me or around the vacuum. But that's what they're doing. They're flying around me in the vacuum, and then they're trying to come back to the comb. It's instinctive for them, the pheromone response, to fly out and swarm and attack whatever the enemy is that's trying to destroy the nest, and in this case me. But they're not really going anywhere. They're not going to try to start a new colony anywhere. So I just vacuum up as many as I can, and then once they're still flying around for a while, I'll turn off the vacuum and just step back for a couple minutes, and then they just fly right back onto the comb, and then I vacuum them up right again from there. But just look how much silk caps there are. All that white you see on the nest, those are silk caps. There's pupating adults under there, so they were going to become adults. I really could sit there and just count them and just tell you how many there were, but I can guesstimate that there were probably at least another 500 to 600 silk caps, at least that many. So there was this nest was or colony was going to be absolutely insane as far as numbers are concerned by the end of the season. So I know we mentioned eastern yellowjackets, which are the subterranean yellowjackets. Their colony makes a very, very brittle comb and envelope. However, like southern yellowjackets, bald-faced hornets, western yellowjackets make a very strong envelope and comb structure. So it's not easy to break it down. So when I'm vacuuming up, I don't have to be quite as careful with vacuuming like I am with eastern yellowjackets, because if my vacuum even touches the eastern yellowjacket comb, it'll just obliterate it completely, and it'll go right up into the vacuum, larvae and all. So this one I don't have to be quite as careful, but yeah, I am trying to be a little bit gentle because I really don't want to suck all the larvae up. I want to feed as much as I can to my girls. Peeling apart every single layer, because it doesn't matter, every nook and cranny, they will go in there and they'll hide, and you go and feed this to the girls, and they start pecking and pulling the envelope apart, and then discover a few adults, and then they don't want to eat it anymore, obviously.
One pigeon. Hey, turkey. Hey, Timothy. Hey, Daisy. Hey, Daisy. Hey, Daisy. Daisy. That's right, girlfriend. You take your own. You get your own. Daisy. Daisy. Hey, Daisy. Hey, Daisy. Come here. Right here. Baby, you're so mean to everybody. Want any of this turkey? Pigeon, you're so mean to everybody. You're more of a bully than Ginger is. Hey, Ginger. Hey, Emily. Hey, Miss Emily. Hey, Miss Emily. Hey, Miss Emily. Hey, there's Fairy Snow. Hey, there's Fairy Snow. There's Fairy Snow. There's Fairy Snow.
So check out the bottom left corner here. Humphrey comes creeping over to start eating some larvae out of the comb, and Giblet's looking at her. Now, the chickens will peck at Miss Emily because she's little and she doesn't know any better. She doesn't know that she can bully the chickens. Humphrey does bully the chickens. She rules those chickens. So if she wants to eat something that the chickens are after, she comes and charges them and scares them. You can see Giblet here looking at her like, wait, is this Miss Emily or is this Humphrey? Is this the one that chases me, or is this the one that I can chase and peck and feel dominant over? And she eventually realizes, oh, that's right, that's Humphrey. I'm just gonna go over here. Alright, so this is the update on the European Hornet colony that I relocated in a previous video more recently. This colony was doing absolutely fantastic. It was growing really well, it was developing a lot of new adults, but as you'll see here, the queen is laying an egg. Her abdomen is in the cell and she's attempting to lay an egg. However, she's going through the motion of laying an egg. She's not actually laying one. You'll see all these adults that are surrounding her, kind of in a semicircle. Those adults know that she is now incapable of laying an egg. She's become sterile, either from maybe not having any more eggs, or something has happened. She is unable to lay them. So what they're walking on is queen cell, so our queen comb, and they built that more recently when I put the nest in. That wasn't there originally, so they had built that since I'd put the nest in there. But she has not laid any eggs inside those cells. So they're onto her that she's become incompetent. So they start lunging at her, and eventually they're going to kill her. She is pretty much on borrowed time at this point. You'll see here there's about 5 of them that are kind of like lunging forward and starting to like kind of nip at her, and I hung around for a while getting these shots, and it's actually kind of sad because you think about it, she created this entire empire, and she doesn't get taken care of at the end of her cycle. Like, she will be killed. I didn't get it on video at this point. I spent a lot of time watching this happen, and they are just relentless. Like, they keep pecking at her. At one point, one of them bit her head, and it didn't do any damage, but they are getting ready to mutinize against her. Well, I mean, they already started mutinizing, but they're getting ready to kill her. It's pretty sad to watch because I mean this colony was doing so well, and now it's just an utter chaos. Like even the adults that are not attacking her are just walking all around the comb. They're all frantic. They're flying in and out. Now this is 1 o'clock in the morning, so this is the activity you're seeing at 1 o'clock in the morning. And they're just flying out and then coming right back to the entranceway. Like, they just don't know what to do with themselves. There's obviously been like a pheromone change in there, and I don't know if her pheromone changes because she's not laying eggs and that's how they know. It's just really interesting to study this and see the changes that happen within the colony as the queen becomes incapable of laying eggs. I noticed a few days ago that there were no new eggs laid inside this part of the cell, or this part of the queen comb. But I just assumed maybe the eggs were further up in there and I just couldn't see them or something. But now, upon further inspection, there are no eggs in there. So that's definitely what's the cause of all this chaos right now. So I'd come out another time then, and about maybe 4 hours later, and they were still doing this to her. They're still chasing her around, surrounding her, biting at her. Every now and then some will leave and they'll disperse, but there will always be a couple, like just kind of hovering around her. And just every time she tries to move, they just move in front of her and start, pushing at her and biting at her and things. For those of you who want to see the original relocation of this nest, you can click here at the top right corner, and that'll take you to the original relocation video. So we even started tearing down some of the parts of the envelope. So that's where the chaos has really ensued, because they're not only biting at her, but they're also starting to tear down parts of the envelope that they started building, which is pretty sad and pretty wild, really. I saw one tear off envelope and then just drop it. Like, she didn't even try to chew it up to rebuild comb or anything. Like, she literally just wanted to tear it down. So I'll be giving some more updates on this nest as the developments happen, and once they kill her, hopefully I can get it on camera so we can see how that actually ensues. So you can tell it's getting towards the end of the season for our bald-faced hornet friends. This is a natural cause death. It's just the end of the life cycle for them. Usually about the beginning of September is when the colonies start to really wind down, and the new queens will start being released and mating with the males. But this nest is doing really well. This nest got absolutely humongous. I relocated this one from Center City, Lancaster, a couple weeks ago, and put it here on the windows. That way I could see from the inside of the nest while they were building. So I got some great shots of that. So we're going to go inside and check out the structure from the inside. So here, it looks like an onion. There's several different layers, 8 or 9 layers, and they tore down so much of the inside of the first layer of envelope that you can actually see the comb. So there's comb on the top, and then there's queen comb just below it, hanging from the bottom. And there is still a lot of adults inside this nest. And this is about 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:30. And they're still very active. Even though wasps go into their nests at nighttime, that does not mean that they're asleep. They're a cathameral species, meaning that they are sporadically awake or asleep throughout a 24-hour period. Not all of them are asleep at one time, and not all of them are awake at one time. You can see all the adults in between many layers of the envelope. Oftentimes they tear down the envelope from the first couple layers from the comb, and then they chew that up, and then they mash that all back together, and then they make new comb structure out of that. Just so wild to be able to see inside these colonies like this and see all the different layers and the different structures from inside. Alright everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to check out this video. If you guys enjoyed this content, drop in the comments, let me know what you think. If the squirrely squirrel jump scare got you, also drop in the comments and tell me about it. If you guys haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so and hit that bell notification down below. That way you guys get an update anytime I do post a video. Thank you so much for tuning in to check out this video and supporting my channel, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.